Okay, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. So today we're going to be talking a lot about different ways to get our students and their parents on board with Piano Marvel. And a lot of these questions came from Kara, so we're just going to turn the time over to her and she can kind of tell us about what she's experiencing and ask her questions, and then we can all try to help her with our own experience, and then I'm sure all of us will have different questions as well, and we can just start the discussion from there. Go ahead, Kara.
Awesome. Thank you. So I signed up for Piano Marvel a year ago. Actually, I signed up for myself quite a bit of before that. And I was kind of having my students play with my own account just to see how it would work and see if they liked it, see if I liked it. So I have a few good questions. So then after I decided I liked it, I decided to sign up my entire studio, which I did. And I got them all using it during lessons at my house. So they would come for a 45-minute lesson. We would do the half-an-hour lesson, and then they would work on Piano Marvel for 15 minutes on their own. But then I really wanted them to take it home because there's so many things that they can do at home with it that will improve our ability to have better lessons, because I won't be teaching the same thing over and over and over. So I was really excited about that, and I emailed out all the parents. And granted, this was kind of not at the beginning of the year. It was right in the middle. Sure. And so I wonder if that was part of the problem. But I have 15 students. Many of them only have acoustic pianos. So already I knew I was a little bit handicapped there. I have 5, I think, that have a MIDI keyboard. 3 of them said they were interested in getting it set up in their home, and then only 1 ended up using it in her home. And it was very sporadic. And I would send home work on it. What I do is I do a goal sheet, and we set goals for everything that we're working on. And so their goal for Piano Marvel was to do 5 to 10 minutes a day on it. And she would do it twice. And so I felt like I'm not utilizing the tool, but I don't know how, because I'm using it in my studio, but I couldn't figure out how to get the families to even be excited about it or interested in it. I tried to sound as excited as I possibly could and share it's, what we could do with it and all the things. I just couldn't get anyone to make it happen.
What age are your students?
So I have a few teenagers, which I thought those ones would be the ones that would jumped on it. So my youngest is 8, but I have from 10 to 15. And I thought that's a perfect age because they don't need mom to help them. They can log on their own. But I don't know. It just wasn't happening.
Can I ask another question too? Sure. When you very first were showing them Piano Marvel, how did you do that? Were the parents there? What did you do with them? Did you have them do it? Did you show them on your account, or did you show them on their own account? How did that go?
That's a great question. So what I did is I sent out a big email to everyone with the videos that you guys have posted, the cute introduction to Piano Marvel, all the benefits of Piano Marvel, and then I just sent out a form of who was interested in trying it, because I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money if nobody wanted to do it. So I didn't actually, there were a couple people that came in person that wanted to see it in person, but most everyone I just sent out an email.
Okay, yeah, and you can take this, but I'll just say right there, I think that's the issue, is that you tried to just say, who's interested in spending more money?
Yeah,
and
right.
that,
actually, I didn't have them spend any money. I told them we're trying it for free this year, and I didn't make anyone pay for it.
Okay. So still, then go ahead, Anne. Tell her what you did.
I'm really getting excited here because I'm wondering how come I have almost all my parents on. In fact, I do have all of them. I did have all of them on, and 1 or 2 after a number of months decided to drop it. And that was in the case of kids that were just so hyper nervous about getting anything wrong, and they had help at home. So I said, fine, those 2 kids don't need this. But one of the things that has happened with me is every single kid has been introduced to it with parent present. Every single time. Their first experience on Piano Marvel has been either in my studio with the parents there or online with the parents there. And the reason probably that has worked is because the parents see the kids get excited. And then often I have, I'll show the parents any of the technical part that the kids can't handle. Although kids today, they're usually way on. I mean, the 6-year-olds have got this down. The 5-year-olds have got this. It's not that hard, but I want to show them other options. But I get parents involved in helping them, maybe helping them by keeping time so they get a better score or something. So from the beginning, it's a parent-child adventure. And then I don't have to worry about it because the kids will beg the parents to sign up. I'm not asking the parents in most cases. In some cases later on, yes, I'm saying to the parents, look, this is just too valuable. You've got to do this. So that's my thing is, number one, have the parents present when it's introduced. Does anybody agree or disagree with that?
I totally agree.
Yeah, definitely.
I totally agree with Anne. When I have somebody contact me that they're interested in lessons and they got my name from maybe the music store I work in or some kind of referral, or maybe they're at the homeschool, I have kids from there, but I don't try to explain anything through writing or over the phone. I say, let's get together when it's good for you. I need to show you what we do. It's just that great. You have to see it. And once they are there and they see it, and you let them try it and their kids are trying it, boy, 99% they're on board. And I never even mention up front, oh, and you're gonna need a keyboard. Oh, and there's a subscription. Oh, and I don't even bring that up. I said, come see what we do.
Yeah, another thing that I do with the parents that first time is I show them either in person or on the videos exactly what kind of connections are necessary so they don't get technologically scared to proceed. They have all the tools right from the beginning. And I even offer to help them. And because I have in my studio various types of setups, I can show them how it's done on this device or that device or with that cable. But I give them the technical knowledge and the kids' fun part of it. Okay.
Yeah, and I would say, I know sometimes we have conferences and there's like in-person conferences versus virtual conferences. And even between showing versus having them actually do it is really a big deal. Like when I go to in-person conferences, if they're able to sit down and interact with the software, it's like a huge, huge thing. The virtual conferences, people might be like, oh, wow, that's really cool. But it is next level when they actually try it themselves.
I have also a question. Has anybody experienced with Piano Marvel using it with an acoustic piano, not a MIDI piano, not an electronic piano? How does that actually work? Because there are so many advantages when you have the MIDI piano, but I'm not really sure how it works without that.
When you said that, I was thinking of QRS. I'm like, oh, I actually have a student who might get a QRS system. I'm so excited. But you're talking about book mode, right?
Yes, exactly.
It
does
doesn't
it correct you?
No, it doesn't. Not yet. So that's the thing is it basically is like it's elevated sheet music. Like it scrolls for you and you have the accompaniment and you can keep track of your progress with like the stars and stuff like that. But it doesn't give you any scores. And that really is the magic of Piano Marvel. So I don't let any students not have a keyboard because what's the point in having Piano Marvel without it, you know?
I had some students try book mode and there was no excitement.
No.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
I mean, there's some benefit, but the excitement is, it's like, it's just so much less.
Well, there's no reward. There's no fireworks.
Have you seen the new little star that spins?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, a spinning star. Okay.
I especially like this.
Pleased.
Start here. This is so clear, yeah.
Well, and
I'm thinking of another thing that I do that helps a whole lot. I have very specific pieces up for them. So in the case of the Let's Play Music Kids, those are all up there already. Or I have their assignment pieces up so that, again, their first exposure, they can go and play with their parent, right, on one of my keyboards. They can play an assigned piece and see how much easier it is that the parent doesn't have to come and say, oh, that was that note over there. It saves the parent a whole lot of interference, let's call it. And for a lot of families, this is a huge plus because The kids get tired of having mom or dad interfere all the time, and the parents get tired of needing to be present for every single part of the practice. Otherwise, the kids are going to do the wrong thing. So that's another big deal, is showing them how their lesson material can be made easier, right, with the Piano Marvel version. And of course, I put a lot of stuff online for them too.
Well, and I was going to say, I actually had moved before. I mean, I kind of used Piano Marvel a little bit when I first had it, just for sight reading and learning a few pieces. And then I moved and I went online and I went completely around the trophy cases. And it's really easy when you say, this is my program, this is what we use. Like, if you're coming on with me, this is how it works. When you're transitioning like you are, that's kind of a different process a little bit than if it's like a new student. You're like, this is what we do, this is what you need, this is how it goes.
I will say though that just go ahead and finish if you go ahead.
Oh,
I'll finish it later.
I was just going to say, so I was going to ask you, what method do you use? I was curious when teaching your students. Is it a custom method? Is it what method do you use?
I use different. I kind of am in the middle of figuring that out because I love the idea of having it on Piano Marvel.
Because I was going to say, doing the trophy cases was a really fun way for me to have the students they love getting the trophies, the stars, the 100%. It's like very progressive. And I had used other programs that I really liked. RCM I liked, and I grew up on Bastion, and I used, what was the other one that I used? That Alfred and, Piano Adventures. And often I would let students kind of choose their method and I would just work with them. But when I went to Piano Marvel, I said, this is the method we use. And regardless of what that method is, like Ann Q has Let's Play, and Evelyn has her own method she uses. I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, but use Piano Express for sure. People use different programs, but just saying, this is the method we use is an option that can make it so essentially they have to go into Piano Marvel. Like, if it's the trophy case and that's their assignment, they've got to go there to do it. Like, that's, I suppose they could print it out. But I'm just saying it eases the process probably of transition when that's actually your method, or whatever it is actually in Piano Marvel. As I'm saying that, I'm like, well, there's some variations in that actually. But for me, it made it really easy. When I was using the trophy cases, it was like, well, I use the trophy cases, they're in Piano Marvel, this is how it works, kind of thing.
Well,
What I was gonna, go ahead, Evelyn.
the thing that I have really enjoyed seeing is that, of course, when we started out, we had the trophy case, and that was pretty much what we had, and not a lot in the library. But now, what has been added to the library is a lot of other books that you can go into, and that can be supplemental. So that's what I have really been enjoying, the advancement of Piano Marvel in continuing. The trophy case is base for me, but I have really appreciated the different books that are up there. I use them kind of to bring them into something different to play, but there are beautiful collections that are in there to be able to go to, using Piano Marvel Library as the tool to work with, and being able to go into so many different, and now we get the ninja scales, and there are so many things. I really, as we have newer teachers, I really would invite teachers to go into the library and look at what's there. And every once in a while, I'm surprised, and there's something else there, and I say, oh my gosh. So using the supplemental material in the library is just marvelous. I love it.
Yeah, and I'm constantly
that play on words there, Evelyn. Marvelous. I like it.
Marvelous.
I found when I tried to do the transition, because I, had been the book person for over 30 years, and then got introduced to listen, I'm older than you, and technology, I was a little scared, and I thought, oh, I don't know if I want to do this leap. I'm comfortable with what I do, but I was also bored with what I do. And this seemed, like it would put a new kick into my business and make it more fun for me, which it has and does. So I had several students that got on board right away, and having to go out and buy a keyboard when you have a perfectly good piano I was afraid to ask them. And I said, I can see the benefits of this. It is just amazing, and students are learning so much faster, and kids love technology. So I'm transitioning into this, and I'm hoping that everybody will come along with me. And it took a few families a long time, and I will say they missed the window of excitement, and their kids, once they finally got that keyboard, which was like 2 years later, they weren't that excited because they had missed the boat. But those kids whose parents could see, and I think it is that demoing and having the parents see it and say, this solves this problem and this problem, tell them why it's so great. You're not in the kitchen going, that doesn't sound right, or come on, get with the program, you're not practicing the right thing. They don't have to be the piano cop anymore. That's huge. They can see if Johnny practiced going to reports. They can control it, but they don't have to be controlling it. And they're moving so much faster, everything. I don't know, it's just so great. And so I only had probably 2 families that really came into the program late, and it was not as fun for those kids that came in late because they missed the edge of excitement with everybody else. But they will come around. They'll do it on their own time, and you can say, look, I know you have a beautiful piano. For just a couple $100, if you can put that aside, over the next, maybe for Christmas or a birthday, and get them jump started here, they're gonna stay with it longer. They're going to do better, and boys will continue.
Yeah, that's
true.
so true.
It's a big deal. I've never had more boys than girls, but I have for several years. Ever since Piano Marvel, I have more boys than girls.
Same here. Yeah. Oh, and if they have an acoustic piano, I used to be like, oh, that's too expensive, I'm not going to bring this option up. But I always say, hey, if it's within your budget, you can give your acoustic piano what's the word I'm looking for? Digital capabilities through the QRS system, and Piano Marvel has a discount if they want to go through Piano Marvel.
Really, if they were to buy an upper end digital piano, it would be twice as expensive as a QRS system. So
yeah,
it's really not that it's not affordable. It is affordable depending on what they need and what they want and their budget. But for a lot of people, it is. So bring it up.
Yeah, and for those people who have an acoustic piano they love, like I have a student right now who's starting with me, and Evelyn, it's your connection there. Actually, she has a beautiful grand Yamaha. And
did she contact you?
She
did.
Yeah,
she does a beautiful piano.
Yes, and I was telling her about this QR system. I don't know if they'll be able to do it, but she was like, when do they get to be on their acoustic? I'm like, hey, they can be on it all the time if you get this QR system. Oh, maybe I reminded her and said, by the way. So anytime there's an acoustic piano, lots of families, it's a little beyond what they're able to do, but some people, they really value that acoustic piano experience, and it's totally worth it. So I
prefer that my students have both a digital and an acoustic, because how else are they supposed to learn the finer points of musicianship if they're never able to practice on a nice, grand?
Or
I have students that right, or that. Yeah. But I have students that only have their little keyboards, and it's so hard to get them to learn those kinds of things because they can't have the actual feel of the piano. It's just like the dinky little keyboard.
Dynamics.
Right. And it's like, ugh. So I love when a student has an acoustic piano. We just need to get them a MIDI option as well.
Is there a Windows solution for this QRS system, or is that only for Macintosh?
It's for anything. It's for the piano. It's
Cool.
they're
Oh,
they're
cool.
laser lights that go underneath the piano. Although I think they operate in Europe, but I'm not sure. I know that it's US based, so I don't know if they have moved into Europe yet.
Well, and are there other companies that do the same thing?
I think there are nowadays. Yeah, you can also get like player pianos, like Spirios and stuff. But yeah, QRS.
Just Clavier.
I think they're in Europe. We'll have to look into that. But it's a really cool option for a lot of people.
What's the price range on those?
So I think it's 1,800, but with a Piano Marvel like discount, like we can be like, hey, I'm introducing you through Piano Marvel. You can get it for 1,500, I think. And
I need to contact this
This is-
person because
yeah.
I told her
This
a
is
higher
very
price.
this is very expensive. 600 euros, a very good digital piano. I mean, not a MIDI keyboard. I mean, a real piano. I have one that sounds really like a piano, and it has all the dynamics and everything. So it makes actually, but if you have no space and you already have a piano and you want to connect it, it's cool, but it's very
Right.
And some
expensive.
people have a preference one way or
Yeah,
the
well,
other.
like my digital
Yeah.
piano was like twice that expensive. So like,
Yeah,
you know, it
have
depends.
you can have
Mine
any
was-
price actually. Seen for 20,000 euros digital pianos, and yeah, there might
Yeah,
be
so
also
it depends on
difference.
what, yeah. And I was gifted mine. I never would have bought a piano that expensive as a young college kid, but
Yeah.
you know, there's a big range for digital pianos for sure. But yeah,
That's
for
true.
some people it's a viable option. So just like if they have an acoustic, you might as well just let them know that that option is available just in case, because it's
They're
nice.
really great. Yeah,
I
it's
think,
really
I
nice.
think also getting back to your question of, transitioning and everything, if you lay a few options out for that, you could say, Marvel offers this keyboard, which is very inexpensive. If you would rather upgrade to something better, know your music stores and say, this music store
Yeah.
carries this. These are the brands. I never tell my students what to buy, but I say, get the best instrument your budget can afford. And then I'll say, okay, here's how I feel the different brands go from low to high. And I said, they will all work. I said, and you just pick what works best for your budget and for your family. But if you have some options so they don't feel so, whoa, that helps.
There's another option that a lot of teachers have been doing recently. Can you hear me okay? My AC just kicked on and it's kind of loud.
Can't
Okay.
even hear the AC.
Okay, good. Sorry. So there's another option that some teachers have been trying recently, which is buying some, like the ones that we sell on our site, or some little keyboards like that, just 64 key keyboards, and renting them out to their students in the
Right.
meantime. So saying, we are doing this starting now. Here's your keyboard, and get your own as soon as you can.
Do some music stores do that too? Do they rent out?
Maybe. I think so. I don't know.
That and couldn't
Here
find
in
someone
Europe-
that rented
here in-
keyboards by me.
Yeah,
Here they
so
go.
but yeah, I would, if you have even just, you don't have that many students, right? It's like 15 or something like that.
15, yeah.
Yeah, and some of them already have them. So you could purchase even just a few, try to get as many started as possible. First, see how many people will buy their own. And then if you have those people that are like, we just can't do it right now, you buy a few and you rent those out. That has worked for a lot of people because honestly, just like Cindy was saying, when you have students that are like coming in late, the excitement is, I mean, it's there, but it's not the same as jumping on all together. We're doing this as a studio. We're a team. And just being able to jump in together, that really is the best, most effective way that I've ever seen it done. And I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of teachers, and they've all tried different ways and different methods. And it does work for some people to kind of gradually transition. But I've seen that the easiest, most pain-free way for both the teachers and the parents is just, we're doing this right now. So I know that can be scary, but you just have to figure out what way works for you and the parents that you're working with, and do it.
So with
well-
which type of piano are you starting then, Michelle?
Which type of piano? So
Yeah.
it's like $150, cheap, small 64 key keyboard. That's all you really need to get started for most people.
Yes.
And so you do that and you rent it out for pretty cheap, but I would say don't lend it, rent it. Because if you're lending, then they have this like, oh, I can just keep using this. If they're paying for it every month, then they're like, okay, we need to get our own. So I would say definitely rent it, even if it's just like $10 a month or something, just so that there's that sense of urgency to eventually get their own keyboard.
Yeah.
So could I transition the conversation to the computer that's used? If it's a laptop, if it's an iPad, that is also a piece of the conversation in getting them going. I have yet to work. Well, no, I did have one student on an iPad, and it was an adult, and she seemed to be doing okay with it. But so can we switch to the conversation of advising about the computer or iPad and you're talking about the iPhone? I can't imagine seeing music on an iPhone. I mean, I can hardly run my iPhone on other things. But anyway, could we have that conversation?
I'm cool with that. Is everybody else wanting to go in that direction? Okay.
I can actually speak to that if I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, because I'm a little late in joining, but like so I don't know what conversation has happened before, so excuse me if I'm on the late train. When kids come, and I know that they're going to be working with Piano Marvel, and I always recommend that we start with that, and I'll tell you my thing with that later. But I recommend that they get a dedicated laptop. I say, iPad's okay, but things come later on the iPad. We will be using in class, and I have some kids in classes up to 4 kids and some private, but in class, when you're at your lesson, I'll be using a laptop. I would prefer that you use a laptop at home. And I think that the changes that happen in the laptop don't always happen on the iPad right away. And then plus, I'm not familiar with the layout of the iPad, so I tell them just get a dedicated, get a secondhand laptop, put it or like one of those foldable open ones, but don't pay a fortune on it. We have a place here in Canada, in Toronto. It's called Infotech Computers, and for $20, I didn't pay more than 150 Canadian, which would be like 110 American US, right? I didn't pay more than 150 Canadian for any of my computers, and I have about 10 of them laptops. So, and then you can just, like this one here that I'm talking to you guys on, is just sitting on a shelf and just over my keyboard. This is a keyboard setup. The other ones you can just place on the piano. And I just say it's just easier. It's easier for you guys to use what I use. And I think all of the stuff comes out on the laptop for all the changes and stuff. The iPad, it comes later. Like I remember the report error button wasn't even on the iPad. And I remember it was during the first COVID lockdowns that I'm telling the kids, online, because we were all online then. And I'm like, okay, so just go to the report error button. And they're like, oh, I don't have that. And I'm going, let me see your iPad.
So just to interject real quick, that's not true anymore. We've fixed that issue where the iPad and the web version are pretty much right on par. Sometimes things even come out a little bit earlier on iPad now, so that's no longer.
Do they look the same though?
Yeah, they look the same for the most part. Okay. Yeah, there's like one thing that doesn't look the same. That's how they make you their teacher, like how they link a teacher. That's still different. Other than that, it's pretty much the same on both. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's great.
I was going to say, actually, to that point, that maybe all of my students have iPads, and I don't own an iPad. I do have it on my, plan to own an iPad one day. But I almost always find out about the new things coming out when I'm in a lesson with them and they're on their iPad, because it hasn't come out on my desktop version yet.
Okay, so that's new. That was like 2 years ago. That wasn't the case.
Yeah, so, I think it has... changed.
And so since then, of course, I'm always saying get a laptop. But there's also another thing, like there's a lot of stuff that I use with my kids, like they download rhythm files, videos for me and stuff like that, and I say just put it all on your laptop so that everything to do with my studio is like on the same place. So I'm not as cognizant with downloading stuff onto, I don't think I can download onto the iPad unless I have one of those sticks or something, which I do, but they may not or whatever. But I mean, I could always recommend it. But I just say that everything, all your rhythm files, all your videos, everything musical is like right there on the laptop, and you can open it up. You can get a cheap computer for like $100 refurbished. And then that's everything music stays on that, you know. Can you do that with an iPad too, without a stick?
Yeah, well, it depends on how, if you like share things with them on Google Drive and then they can download it from there onto their iPad. There are ways to do it, but if you have your system and it works, it's not like
great.
iPads are better than laptops. So if you want your kids to have a laptop and that works for you, I say that's great.
Well, they do, some of them do some of them do the iPad, and I can see the advantage of, like, if you have a piano that has a stand and that it's easier to put it on, for sure.
Yeah.
Because if you don't necessarily, then you have to kind of sometimes jimmy rig something for your laptop to work. But I'm just so familiar with that, so that's what I'm recommending.
I will say something that reminds me of that's really helpful is to have a dedicated piano station. If your students have to bring their piano out, bring their device out, find the correct cables, plug it in every single time, they're not going to practice every day. There's no way.
I wanted to second having a dedicated, like you were saying, Lori, having a dedicated device. I don't currently have that. I have my iMac, and I actually have my piano in front of me right now. It's a little less than ideal to reach over the piano when I'm doing something not having to do with the piano. And I love it when, like Michelle's saying, there's a dedicated spot just for the piano. And if there's a device that's, what do you call it, mobile or movable device, that's really helpful. So they can, it's easy to work with, I guess. I know Ann Q. Oh. Mm-hmm.
I could see where the iPad would come in handy there. Yeah.
So my kids mostly had Chromebooks given to them during COVID, during the school system. And so I have in my studio, I have a Chromebook set up, I have an iPad set up, I have a Windows tablet set up. I have a little bit of everything. I have cables for everything. I have them bring whatever device they're using, and we have not had any trouble. As long as we have the cables to hook them up. In other words, I didn't ask them to go get another device. I asked them to use whatever they have at home. And it was my job to learn how to manage all three types of devices.
You are vigilant. I don't do that in my studio. Everybody uses the device that I have hooked up. So it's like they're using my piano, they're using my device in my studio. And so for the group lessons, I have a device on every piano that I use for group, and it's the device that they sit at.
Some of the kids bring their own, because then they're all set up, ready to go. And then I have extras for those who don't. So I have both.
Wow.
I would say that there are a lot of. Oh, so who's that? Go ahead, Cindy.
Oh, I was just saying that my kids bring their devices to group piano, and they know how to set them up fast, and we have everything from iPads, Chromebooks, laptops. Yeah.
And I haven't done this, but I think it would be really nice. You have the option to have it be by Bluetooth instead of by cord. Has anybody done that? Have you had success?
Isn't there a delay? Isn't there a delay with Bluetooth? A delay?
I don't know, because I haven't had anybody do it. Michelle or anyone, have you had somebody?
I understand there's a delay.
There's a way to fix it. I can't remember. We're actually like fixing it across the board with an update that's coming out. That will be when it's with our like audio engine that we're going to update the way everything sounds in Piano Marble. Basically, it'll sound like real music instead of that MIDI like twangy sound. So that'll be really nice. But one of the things you'll also be able to fix the Bluetooth latency without having to do anything. Wow. So there is a way to fix it now. You can look it up on our website, and like part of the support page will show you how to fix it.
Because that seems like it would be a really nice function to not have to deal with the cord.
It is. A lot of people like using Bluetooth. Oh, see you, Cindy. Nice to have you. But yeah, a lot of people do use Bluetooth. So there is a way to do it. I just don't use it, so I forget. So I'll have to look it up on the support page.
I have to pause here and point out what Piano Marvel has done.
It's amazing.
And as we have grown in our technology, and so all of a sudden we need something else like Bluetooth. And I just really have to say again how incredible Piano Marvel's development is. When there is something new that comes up, you can know that they're already looking at it. And of course, I've been following it for a number of years and watching the development, but I just have to do another shout out for Piano Marvel and the incredible work that they do to make our job easier. They're always doing that. They're saying, what do you need, teachers? What's bugging you? And if we say something, pretty soon there's an answer. And the development on the way that it's functioning now in our flashy stars and all of the wonderful, I'm just, thank you.
Michelle, we might need to record that and share that.
I
with
know,
the dev
I
team.
know. Thank you so much. It's so nice to hear that, because a lot of times we hear the opposite of like, this isn't working, that isn't working, this isn't fast enough, you know. So it is nice to hear that you guys appreciate the work that we do and that our development team does. So I do think I'm going to take that snippet and send it to the development team so they get to hear that.
I think
I
they
can
need
speak to
hear
that
it.
because like every time there's been an issue, they're on it. Somebody's on it right away. Every time there's something, you know, and it's always upgrading. It's great.
Even in the music, if you see something in the music, every once in a while, there's a little flit in the music and you send that in. Next time you look at it, it's fixed.
Yeah.
Well, and I've become so accustomed to what I have with Piano Marvel that I forget what it was like to buy every single sheet of music that I wanted to introduce to my students, all of the books I wanted to introduce, and to loan them out and get them back. And like it was really a process, and it was expensive, and like I get kind of used to. Yeah, Kara?
Sorry. Speaking of music, is it okay if I ask another question about that?
Yeah.
Do you have every single piece of music that your students are learning on Piano Marvel? I mean, I know we can put music on there, and that's kind of my goal eventually. But is the goal to have every single piece of music they're learning through Piano Marvel? I mean, that sounds like the goal, right?
I can probably speak to that one too, because I've probably uploaded well over 1,000 pieces myself.
Wow.
Including like RCM, Conservatory Canada, from grade 1 through 8. I have uploaded every modern, Baroque, classical, and study and canon piece for every grade possibility for Conservatory Canada, and quite a few for RCM as well. And my goal is just to get, every time there's something new, I upload it. And every time a kid asks for something, I upload it, like new stuff, I upload it. And it takes a lot of time. I'll tell you, and this is probably, I just did want to pop into this meeting, and I don't know if you guys mentioned it or anything. This is probably like 2 big selling points for Piano Marvel and also for retention. So I'll just pop this in here. When I have new students and I do an interview and I recommend Piano Marvel, I say Piano Marvel is not the only way I teach. I can do the old-fashioned way. I've been teaching for 30 years, but it's only been the past 7 years maybe, Piano Marvel. But it's well worth it to at least do it for that free level 1. And then you can find out 2 things. You can see how fast your child learns, 1, and you learn how to use Piano Marvel as a tool. So take advantage of that free. And I just say, just do it. Just take advantage of that. And then if you don't want it after that, I've only ever had one student say they wanted to switch to something else, like they just wanted to do sheet music. They didn't want to do any online, right? That was those parents. But I'm going to tell you, it's insane. Like the kids are like, renew that membership, like get me the premium. Because also during that first month, I'm like, what do you want to play? I can upload it for you. If Piano Marvel doesn't have it, I'll get it for you. So during that first month where everything is free, they have access to the library. And so when they have access to the library, which is only available for my students, and then yeah, guys, you can get off of Piano Marvel if you want, but then you won't have the library access anymore, and it's okay. We can buy the sheet music. Well, they don't want to learn by sheet music anymore because they see how fast they learn, or they'll do it for a couple of months and then boom, they're just saying, forget it, I'm going to get that premium membership. And the other
When
what?
do you, all the thousands that you're uploading, do you do minced and chopped for everything too?
Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
I'm a warrior. You need to know that. That's all I just do. I do it all. I do it. I'm so fast at this now, but I mean, it can take up to like for some of the 14-page pieces that some of the kids want. It can be an hour or more for me to do it.
Lori,
And then
have you used the new PDF function of MuseScore?
yeah, I've been doing it. Yeah. I download it as I have a membership in MuseScore, and I download it as a MuseScore file. And then I make changes because sometimes I need to make changes to simplify and whatever. Oh no, if it's like something to do with that, I've done it. I've done it guaranteed with uploading music. So the other thing, and as
Good
teachers,
to know.
yeah,
For future classes.
I've done it all. But something that you guys might be interested in is often when, like, okay, so say there's sometimes these kids are just kind of like going, okay, I've had an, I want to finish piano, and that's fine. I have 15 or 20 kids on a waiting list. I'm good. Like if you're finished, I'll move somebody else in there. But my policy is once they quit, I remove them from as my student on Piano Marvel. So they're no longer my student. And I say, that's just what happens. You're not, so you no longer have access to all the files I uploaded. It's just like, they're kind of like, what? I just had a parent of a child who quit. Like she wasn't interested, but she just did want to keep access to Piano Marvel. And I said, you have access, you have all the access. If you keep paying premium, you have all the access to Piano Marvel you want. You just don't have access to my files anymore. And they're like, can we work around this somehow? And I'm like, no, not really. No, no, again, because this is like a benefit I sell as my, like for my students, this is their benefit. I don't give it to anybody else. I can't anyway in a lot of cases for classical and Baroque I can, but it's that particular publication. But a lot of times I can't because of copyright. But I don't anyway, because it's my students who have that access. And that's a benefit of being my student. One of the many, many benefits of being my student.
Well, and another way you can do it, which is how I've been doing it, is when I get a new student, I automatically put them in premium Piano Marvel, and it's part of their tuition. So I do that so they can participate in the challenges and all the popular music immediately, because a lot of times that's what they're really excited about moving forward with. So both ways have some really good benefits to them. But that's what I
use that as a carrot. I'm going once you get the premium, and I say you can order the premium. I recommend you just wait until you've done all level 1. I don't want you to spend any money if you don't need to spend any money. And if you do, get the yearly because it's cheaper. But I can't even tell you how many kids that I've had hooked up. The Christmas challenge comes along, and I'm going, yeah, there's lots of Christmas pieces that you have access to, and I'll upload them for you. But Store Day is going to happen for Christmas, which they all know what Store Day is by then because we've already gone through Halloween. And if you want to get a penny a ticket, you might want to get your premium membership early and have access to that library. And, there's only so many pieces that aren't free,
And I would assume, because you really get kind of a teamwork thing going on those challenges, I would assume that is also a really great way to transition students over, is to say, we're going to do this as a studio. We're going to do this challenge. There are these incentives built around the challenge and those types of things. That also might be a really great way to have everybody transition, like wanting to be part of, what's going on.
Well, I have to say, like, I have almost 60 students between the two studios. And I would say that I think I only have 3 or 4 students who just work strictly with sheet music. And it's mostly because they just don't want to do screens at all, or the parents don't want them to do screens at all. But even a lot of the parents who don't want their kids to do screens, this is different because this is different because it's educational, and so parents are okay with that. The kids are going to do one screen. It's going to be piano, right?
Well, and it's I've had parents ask me this, and I'm like, it is highly beneficial to do both. Like,
Yeah.
do some from sheet music, do some from Piano Marvel, because there are skills that you develop from reading just from sheet music, as everybody
Yeah.
knows, that people can use Piano Marvel as a crutch for figuring out notes and such. Whereas if they have a sheet of music, they have to know what it is.
Well,
Like,
all of my kids, once they learn their rhythm and notes, they must print out the PDF and work on
there you go.
it without, because that's the musicality. As with Piano Marvel, it's the pitches and notes, and then once they've got that, which they get it so fast, then everything else is me. And then we just move over to the sheet music right away. So, but because I have all of that stuff in there, with the exception of, I just want to ask though, is that fixed yet? Is that fixed? There was, we used to be able to order pieces from Alfred Publishing, and then we couldn't, and there was it was a glitch. Like sometimes kids see the Piano Marvel pieces on there and the sheet music isn't available, or I don't have the sheet music for it, or sometimes I'll upload a MuseScore version if I can find it, but sometimes it's a piece that it wasn't one that Aaron wrote or something like that. And then all this, we used to be able to buy it from Alfred Publishing. Is that a thing still, or?
So if it's something that is owned by Piano Marvel, like one of Aaron's pieces or something,
We
you
can
should be able
print
to just print it without having to
Something
buy
like
it.
that.
I think what happened is a change in the contract with Alfred.
Okay.
So they now want you to buy, you can purchase their stuff, but you have to go to their actual website to do
Okay.
it. So
This doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often because I can almost always find a great version on MuseScore, and upload it and chop it. And 9 times out of 10, I do that. But sometimes they just want that version,
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, so there's some of our stuff from Hal Leonard, Alfred, and FJH Publishing Company. They just want you to buy it on their website, so we can no longer link directly to it on our website.
Oh, okay.
So it's annoying, but you can most likely find it pretty easily by going to their website and looking up the exact title. It should come up.
Okay, great. No, okay, we'll use that if we need to. Good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know that that's what's going on, because that's one thing I wish I could do is like I had a song, for example, I learned and I wanted to play it for a performance. I wanted to print out the music. And it was one you had to buy, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. And I was like, oh, I could find different arrangements, but that's not the one I learned.
It has to be. Well, I was stuck with a little guy who had a specific piece of Titanic that he wanted to work on, and it was that one, and I couldn't find it online, that version, so I had to transcribe it. I transcribed it. I rewrote it.
If you do have questions about specific pieces or why we can't do something, please let us know. I know, Lori, you've sent me a few of those in the past, but yeah, any of you, if you have questions about why you can't print something, or if you want to find the actual version on a different website, I can do some research. So just send me an email and I'll try to find it for you.
Yeah, that's great. I can usually, but
yeah, it's
but
just
for the most
randomly, every once in a while that there's one that I'm like, or it only comes in an entire book. I have to buy the whole book. I'm like,
oh my God, that's Moana.
Is that Moana?
One was singing.
How many of my kids can sing that song? So many. Do you
want to sing the song for them?
Do you want to sing Moana for me? Yeah.
Good job.
Yay,
I think I know all the music from that one.
Yay!
She's been obsessed with that song lately. So
it's a good one. It's a good one. The music is great in that one. That's good.
It is, yeah. It's a good one. And that Encanto movie.
Encanto?
Yeah.
There's a few of my. I have a few favorites.
I haven't seen it yet, but everybody says it's wonderful.
It's good. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I keep wanting to call you Kara because I have a friend named Kara. It's spelled the same. But Kara, did we answer most of your questions? Do you have any other follow-up questions or anything else?
Actually, yeah, I think this is all very helpful. I think it will give me a much better way of starting out. And I think because I don't teach during the summer, I think I'll be able to introduce it again in a better way this time because
Yeah.
it
And
did
I
not
think
go well.
like you can see that there were like all these teachers here, we've all done it different ways, and
Yeah.
it depends a lot on your own situation, where you're located, how many students you have. Like there's a lot of variables that go into it, but I would just take the experiences of all of us and figure out what's going to work best for you,
I
because
think
there's
my
no like
biggest
one true answer.
I think my biggest issue is I'm just so afraid of bothering people or making them do something they don't want to do. And I think what I'm learning is I do me, and then they can choose if they want to do me or go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is what I always tell my kids. Like I say, you know, try it and do it. And if you love it, hook yourself up, and you need to try it, and because you're going to learn so much faster. But I always say I've taught for many years, and I taught the other way longer than I've taught Piano Marvel, and I can do any way you want. I can do any if you choose not to do it, that's completely fine. But I always do tell them that the number one thing that I've noticed is that kids do learn 4 or 5 times faster. So in the long run, or even in a very short run, they save a ton of money because, and this is from my experience, I can tell you this is absolutely true. A lot of teachers, once kids go into graded lessons like conservatory stuff, they are going to need a 45-minute lesson or a 1 hour private lesson a week. And I have kids even up to grade 6 that are half hour still. I only have one 45-minute, and this little kid is just like, he just doesn't stop. But the reason that it can be a 45-minute lesson is, and I think you can all recognize this. I've been teaching for 30 years. The most annoying problem that I've had since the very beginning is when a child goes home and they practice all week and they practice wrong. They practice the wrong note or the wrong rhythm. One or the other is wrong, and you have to spend the entire half an hour lesson correcting it, peeling it out of their brain, plowing it back in the right way, and you've wasted a whole lesson where you could have done so much more stuff.
Well,
So
and the
I
kid
say
is so upset because they worked so hard.
they work so, and it just takes away all of that, because I said, basically, I tell the parents, I'm sitting beside them all week through Piano Marvel, correcting their notes and their rhythm, and when they come to me, at least that's right. And then I can make minor corrections. I can add the musicality. I can do that all other stuff. So I say, you know, by the time your kid you're going to be paying. So right now you're paying X number of dollars a month per lesson. So by the time your kid gets to grade 2, you're going to be paying half what you would have to pay, because you won't have to have an hour lesson. A half hour still is going to work, because I don't need that. I don't need that extra time. So you're going to save a ton in lessons.
Yeah, and I always, for me, the subscription is no issue whatsoever, because I'm like, this is your books. You're buying your books.
I tell them
That's
that
what it is.
too. Yeah, I say you'll never have to buy another piece of music again. Like,
Yeah, and
never.
When I
Yeah.
was buying the RCM books, they were $25 a book, and it was 4 books, so it was $100 straight out the gate. So how many months of subscription to Piano Marvel, and I have access to so much. So
much
the
more.
subscription thing is like zero issue to me, because it just covers way more than I can get. And the keyboard thing, interestingly, most of my students, and I don't think this is common, I don't know why, maybe it's because I'm teaching online, I'm not sure, they don't even have a piano. So like asking them to get a keyboard is the easiest thing to do, because it's the least expensive thing to do.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. So like, do some of you teach without I came late to the conversation. I won't teach them until they have something at home. And I don't care, but I don't care what. But I insist on 88 weighted touch sensitive keys. I don't care what brand, what kind it is. I prefer Yamaha and Roland, and I don't mind the Casio if it's a Privia. But I like, Clavinovas are my favorite. But I say it's all good if 88 weighted touch sensitive keys. In those small keyboards, when they move over to they move to a big one, I just find it's a little confusion, because the C is in the wrong place and it's not C4, and it's not, these things. I just get 80, if you have to rent it on Kijiji, and we have a buy to own here. We have a rent to own. Long and McQuaid, our local big music store in the Maritimes, you can rent for $40 a month, and a P125 Yamaha, which has everything that you need. You can go through grades in that. The 125, it's like $800 Canadian. So what? Like what? Buy it, or if you can't buy the keyboard, you can't afford piano lessons. I just say, just call me when you have a piano. We'll work on it. That's what I do. So I don't even take them without and it has to be weighted, because that's what I work on during the lesson. Piano Marvel works on, you will learn the notes and the rhythm, but you won't learn any musicality if it's not touch sensitive and weighted. You're not going to.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I insist on that, and they're okay. Because otherwise, why would they even take piano if they don't have something at home?
Well, and sometimes I will, if they have started out, say on a, one of those shorter keyboards, for example, that are not touch sensitive, and that I will talk to their parents and say, okay, when they get to this level, can they earn a better piano?
Yeah,
it's
that's
actually,
great.
They have put in the work, they earn it. And I talk to the parents about that. And, if they're able to, I just say they really worked hard for this. If they're ready for it, they put in the time.
Guilt, lay on the guilt.
Well, I know that sounds terrible, but I'm like, it's okay if you don't, but I'm just saying they can get so much more if it's possible. I try to, it's interesting. There's so many different ways to go about how to work with them.
Of course.
And everybody has some pretty successful programs going on with these different processes. So Kara, we look forward to hearing how it goes when you decide how to approach it. And Lawrence, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, I agree. And I think the most important thing is just to have the confidence that you are the teacher. You have looked into Piano Marvel for over a year. You know what you're doing. You know why it's going to help your students. So you just need to have that confidence in that they trust you. That's why you're their teacher.
That's why you're their teacher. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they like you.
Yeah.
I hope.
That's your
like
first
I can tell. So.
That's what I tell parents when they start piano lesson. I said the first thing I work on the first month is to make them love me. And once they love me, they'll do anything.
They'll do anything, right?
And then the parents will do anything for them, and then it's the ball rolls.
I think we sometimes underestimate the power of vibe. Like,
so good.
A student, it's really important that they have that connection with you, and everything else will work itself out. But if you don't have the vibe thing, it's hard to have the excitement with that. And I was just gonna say, Lawrence mentioned, I can't remember if Lori was the one who initially said this, but he says you do the same mistake week after week sometimes. Yeah. So like the student goes home, practices it wrong, comes to the lesson, you help them, and then the next week it's the same thing. You're going over the same thing, and it's so disheartening as a teacher and as a student. I mean, you lose motivation.
It's a lot easier to learn it right the first time than it is to correct learning it wrong.
And it just the student feels this sense of progress. And like I'm progressing, I'm learning, I'm doing something here, moving forward.
And really, the program is so good for that. It's so good. You can slow it down. You can chop it up. You can, they can perfect little portions of it and just still see that progress. And it's so motivating for them, really,
Yeah, and I was going to ask Tabea, because I know your mind is always working, but what are you thinking? I want to know what's going on in your head.
Regarding the how to get new students, I actually do the same. I do the same like Lori. I upload everything to Piano Marvel because that is why I use Piano Marvel, the methodology, and it's very easy. If I have uploaded it and there is a part of the piece they are not doing well, I can specifically chop it for the student, or I can re-upload only that part and say learn only that part, or whatever, because I have it already on MuseScore. So it's very easy to do with it whatever you want, and to change fingering and to change everything you need, or to transpose it, or whatever you want. I use it very often also to make pieces easier, So
Yes, I
I
do that.
take a complicated piece, I make
Like
it
the
easier
drumming
for.
rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. So you can do a lot of things with it. And I really like the approach. I think everybody should start with the digital piano because
Me too. Yeah.
you get really all these advantages of the piano marble approach. And then for performances and things like that, what I do, I take them off the wire. So that's also good with a digital piano. You can just disconnect it, or I take it somewhere outside in the courtyard with
True.
beautiful
That is hard to do with
environment.
an acoustic piano.
Yeah, and that way you have no help. So like, let's see if
Yeah.
they can also play by mind, if they can play from the sheet they already know, without the technology. That helps
Exactly.
also. And
Oh my
all the
gosh, I
music
love so much the idea of playing outside. I
yeah,
love that.
it's cool, and it's very easy with a digital piano. I mean, and for all the shows you want to do to make your videos for Piano Marvel challenges and these kind of things, it's also much fun. And then you have always the option to go somewhere and play a real piano from time to time. I think that's also a good approach, to do that from
I
time
do.
to time.
I have 2 students that are lucky enough to have a digital acoustic. Anybody know what those are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have
I'm
as
like-
I said, I have a very cheap digital piano, which has really weighted. It's actually a Chinese one from what's that called? It doesn't.
Is it Young Chang?
No, it sounds British, but it's Chinese.
Okay.
Ringway. Do you know this brand? They're really good. I'm really happy because sometimes it's also interesting if you want a better one. It's like the 600 euro piano, or it's like a 3,000. It's not like getting 1,500, because I compared many Yamaha with it, and I'm not really fond of them compared to what I have. So I said, yeah, okay, yeah, we will have to save more money.
Sometimes you just do what you got to do. That's
Yeah, because I think especially acoustic pianos are really interesting if you have a higher level. I'm so much into all this physics of piano playing right now, and I just discovered a German piano builder, a woman, because I'm with these women composers and these kind of things, and she did all the pianos for Beethoven. And I discovered the reason why Beethoven is so different from Mozart is because he had a very different piano.
Oh, interesting.
And a very
Oh
different
my goodness.
mechanics. And this is really, but I think that is starting from level 8 or so. And before, if they can just play from time to time on an acoustic piano to not get shocked. But I had the same shock. I was learning on a Steinway, on this very old one with very big, large keys, this marble, no, what is it called, from the ivory keys, exactly. Yeah. So the first time I played on a standard piano, it was everything like very small. I didn't find the right keys because everything was very small. And that is a really good idea, to change from time to time the type of piano.
Well, and it is a visceral experience for me to play an acoustic piano, a beautiful, well-tuned acoustic piano. It's nothing that how I feel, and I know it's a personal feeling, everybody has their own feelings. I just don't, it is my favorite thing to be able to play.
But that is the key point, to find an acoustic piano which is really well, how do you say?
Well tuned,
tuned,
yes,
maintained, yeah.
Because there are so many acoustic pianos in conservatories which are not really well tuned. I'm sorry to say it, at least here in Europe.
Well, and I was going to say, I'm curious how all of you use reports in your teaching, the report features and functions in Piano Marvel. I think I would like to be better about how I use them. I know Cindy used them really in a lot of ways with her students.
I use them all the time.
You do, Lori?
For this incident approach, as I told in the beginning, I'm really digging into where do they make their mistakes? Where is the weak point of the student to support only that part? I do not have to repeat everything they understand, because Piano Marvel is so intuitive. They learn a lot by themselves. So it's really focusing on what is not working. And I think that is also where pedagogy is coming in and where we are coming in as a teacher, that what is in their mind that makes it difficult? How can I support that?
And with school coming up, just curious, the school season, and I know some of us primarily teach adults, but a lot of us have school-age kids. Oh, by the way, Lawrence, your students, what ages are they?
Pretty much all ages. I've started as low as 5 years old, and
Okay.
all the way to retired people in their.
Okay. I was just going to ask, like, with school coming up, what is some of the things you guys do that helps prepare for that transition, going from summer into, and I know this is kind of taking a different direction. Oh, maybe we don't have time for this. It's 11:06. Well, I would love to know at some point, like, what you guys do to help with, okay, we're going to school. Usually it's a pretty easy transition, but just making it interesting, exciting, looking forward to, getting ready for, that type of thing.
Oh, I don't start till the day after school start, the week after school starts.
Oh, you're out. That's right.
I don't start teaching until a week after they've gone to school to get them used to it, to get them used to, because it's first week of school is enough of a shock for most of my kids anyway, like after a summer off, and they've been to summer off piano as well. And then we come in with a bang. We start a Halloween challenge. I talk about Halloween store day. I talk about how much stuff there is to do. We just start off big. We start out, and the first week is a lot of games, reviewing games and stuff like that. Just to see where we are and make sure that everybody is, happy to be back. I check their books. I give them awards for anything they practiced over the summer, that kind of thing, so that it's just kind of very mellow first week. Yeah. And then after that, we just go. Yeah. Then it's just.
So it's kind of like review as well as what do you call it? Is it syllabus? Like essentially going over what's coming up.
Going over what they did, asking them again what they want to accomplish this year. So like, have your goals changed over the summer? What is it you want to do? Do you want to focus on jazz? Do you want to do an exam this year? Are you wanting that? If you're, and then just to like go over their books, like clean out, make sure their binders are in good shape. We have binders. I recall what I do, kind of running reports with the kids all year. So I have accomplishment pages at the back of their binders, and I just take a quick review of that. And I say, yeah, like last year was a little weak on rhythm. Let's up that a bit this year. And, can we put that on the plan? And then I have checklists, and I just revise the checklist basically. And we just kind of make a plan to forge ahead. And I ask them what they want. And the kids always get a big kick. I say, I work for you. Tell me what you want. And they think that is hilarious. Tell me what you want, and we're going to make that possible this year. Do you want to pay an outstanding piece at the recital this year? Do you want to do a provincial exam? Would you like to, and then I'm going to make some suggestions. So for the kids that are a little bit like the 8 and 9 year olds, I say, okay, so you pick something, 2 or 3 things you want. And then I'm going to say that I would like for you to work ahead on this thing or that thing. So I see if they were weak in rhythm or something, or a sight reading, I'm going to say that's going to help you achieve the goal that you want. So I'm going to ask that we make sure that we, vigilant about doing this other thing. So we just kind of set up, and then I set up their checklist, and then we just kind of carry through like that. So it's mostly setting up. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one other really silly quick question. Is there a way to reset your trophies? Or do I have to email you, Michelle?
They're actually, I don't think we can do that. Like, I don't think there's a way
really?
to
No.
wipe it. Yeah.
Might be able to just set up a new account under.
Yeah, that's what we ask people to do, is just set up a new account.
Yeah, I know we tried once, because I had a kid whose father used his account.
Oh no.
And his father used the account, and I'm like, I can't tell how much is Liam's and how much is his dad's stuff. And they had to just restart. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if any of you have done this as teachers, when you go in as one of your students and you're in there. I've accidentally before completed something in my student's account, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I think the reason that we don't do that is because of privacy stuff. That we're not, like, essentially, even like we can't even delete accounts ever. If somebody wants to delete account, we just say, like, leave it alone. It won't charge you, but we can't delete it. Like, your progress is always there, just in case you want to come back to it. So there are pros and cons to that. Why are you wanting to do it for yourself? Like,
Yeah,
erase your.
when I first started, I had all my students just playing on mine
Yeah.
just to see how it worked. So I have like some done, some not, some in different levels, and I kind of just wanted to go through it, but I can still just go through it. That's not going to be
Yeah.
And you could really easily set it up under another email too.
okay.
Yeah, either way is fine. And it also doesn't have to be a real email. It can be a fake email. So we can also,
Geeky.
we can
Although you
also,
won't get all the emails from Piano Marvel,
right. But if you're already getting the emails for your other account, then it doesn't really matter. But
I can just keep track on my own and just go through it. That's
You can just
You
keep
could.
track.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Give yourself a little sticker for.
Yeah, there you go.
Make my own little chart. Give myself a real trophy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. There you go.
Or
Yeah,
real
but-
chocolate or spa treatments.
Right.
What
There you
I
go.
also use is Badger. Do you know Badger? You can create your own badges, and they are actually something you can exchange, and they have even value for professional reasons, so you can reuse it, whatever. So,
That's cool. Is it an app?
That is for free. Well, it's an app that it's more than an app because it's like interoperable, operative. Sorry, Badger. Sorry, I'm not sure if .com or whatever. Just a second. Yeah. Now it's the European one, but this is not a European thing. Yeah, I think it's like that. Yes. Okay. So it's just badger.com. I write it here in the chat. So that's for free. And I use it for my Moodle platform. So I use it also for other things. And I found now a way how to integrate the whole Piano Marvel stuff into Moodle, and it will like somehow register how many % you have in Moodle. So and then
Thank you for sharing that. I have a question. Would you guys be interested in hearing from someone about the concept of music education being a way to, like, help our students better themselves as people? So, like, just like how music education or how you as a teacher can help them become better people through that education.
Definitely.
I mean,
I think that just happens doesn't that just happen?
Yeah, I think it does. But I recently met a teacher who that's like her thing is like, how can we use music education to help you build yourself as a human? So like they specifically go through like trying to help them become the person they want to be through music education. I just thought it was cool.
I love that so much. I would think that'd be pretty cool.
Okay, yeah. Then I think I'll ask if she's interested in presenting on that because I thought it was cool, and I thought the same as you, Lori. Like I agree that just happens. Like as you work on something, you become better in lots of ways. But I just thought it was an interesting concept to like purposely do that, like work on goals, like specific goals by learning piano. It's just kind of cool. So. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. But if anybody else has anything that they want to hear about, we're kind of running out of that list that we made in the spring or whenever that was. So if you want to give us some more ideas on the Facebook page, we still have that link to like the form that you can fill out with your ideas or things that you want to hear about. So go ahead and put those in there.
There's one thing that comes up now. I will put it on the list, but if anybody in our large group is good at playing Mozart, because I really hated Mozart for all my life. And now I'm discovering that most people just play it very stupidly. And I find it so beautiful, really. I'm really falling in love with Mozart just because I find some very few videos on YouTube which explain the musicality of Mozart and the hows and whys and why it's complicated and why he doesn't really explain a lot on his sheet music and so on. And yeah, if we have some kind of Mozart lover who could just broaden a little bit my knowledge, because I really discovered that is just the approach, how we learn sometimes something that is the wrong way. And yeah, we really miss something beautiful because of that. So
does anybody in here feel like they could speak to that, or should I ask the larger Piano Marvel
I
community?
think I am actually what Tabea was, because I had to play Mozart for some of the vocalists in our program, in our school program, and it just about destroyed me. It was all those thirds and crisp, and it was really hard for me. So I'm not your person.
I'm not thinking so much of it hard. I did not even listen to Mozart. That's the worst. I just found that like kind of pop music of the classics.
Yeah.
So,
What would
Yeah.
and now I discovered that, I mean, not every piece, but there are really beautiful pieces, and that there is much more sentiment and much more depth into this music than just like playing mathematics through. It's like, I think probably in his time it was very different, but now we have so much automized music. I'm so much working with programming bots to make music, so that I think, yeah, Mozart was just kind of a bot, and I don't think it was like that. He probably played it very differently.
I wonder if Cheryl Norman, maybe. I'm just guessing.
Possibly,
throwing
yeah.
Out.
She might be a good one. So go ahead and put that on the sheet so I
I
don't
just
forget
said-
it. And then I will, search through our teachers and figure out who would be a good person to talk about that.
Lawrence, you're not speaking
Awesome.
up, so I'm assuming it's not you.
Not as far as piano goes, no.
Oh, strings?
No, for singers, I think Mozart is kind of essential.
It was
Yeah.
what?
Is
For
essential
vocalists, yeah.
singers, yeah.
That's true. Well, cool. So, Kara, did this help you? Do you feel like you have a
Yes.
good direction of how to start it this year?
Yes, I'm feeling much more confident. I was kind of discouraged. I was like, now what do I do? So this
I'm
is very
sorry.
helpful. So thank
It
you,
can-
everybody.
Yeah, no problem. Let us know. We're all excited and invested now. So
Yeah.
you'll have to let us know how it goes.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Well, does anybody else have anything else? Any other questions or anything before we go?
Kami, can you resend me this list? I don't find it.
The list?
Yeah, the list with ideas for the next lesson.
Oh, the form?
Yes, the form. I don't
is-
find it. I'm looking for it right now.
Is it at the top of the Facebook
It
group
was.
still, or
Did
is
it-
it not anymore?
All right.
on
Are we
Teams?
going to?
If somebody wants it not in Facebook, I'm sure we could probably email it.
Yeah. Does anybody
Just let
want
us
that isn't on the Facebook group or doesn't
Yeah.
use Facebook much? You, Tabea?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Cami, could you send that link to Tabea's email?
Sure. Yes, I'll get that to you.
Cami.
Gwen, hi.
Gwen is turning 3 in like less than 2 weeks. So
Oh my
I-
goodness. What did you say, Tabea?
I found it. It's
Oh.
okay. Thank
Oh,
you.
you found it. Okay. All right. Cool.
cool. Alrighty. Well, thank you everybody for your input. I learned, I'm sure everybody did a little bit and have some new kind of perspective. So this is awesome. We'll see you guys next week for our
Thanks,
little
everyone.
Thank you.
challenge
Kara.
kickoff. See ya.
Thank you.
Good luck, Kara.
Bye.
Thank you.